Good afternoon, I am Crimson Skies, and welcome to day 3 of my journey in Entropia Universe. Now, I ended my day 2 with interest in the Unreal tokens. However, when I was at work, I discovered that there were deeds and shares in the game as well. So the very first thing I did was go look into the deeds and tokens in the auction. I did notice there was something else about land plots in the auction, and out of curiosity, I looked it up. But it doesn't seem to be well fleshed out, and maybe it might be an abandoned concept as well. At least that's what it feels like reading the comments on the forums I was looking through. So for now, I decided to just leave it alone, and decided to ask Rookie Chat about deeds and shares instead, which all I got from most people was just a no, except one person who whispered me and gave me a brief description on how deeds work, and what he recommended I invested in, if I decided to do such a thing. His recommendation was to get Arcadia Underground deeds. However, at the same time I got that whisper, someone else had asked me to help them with the Atrax mission, and remembering how that went for me, I decided to stop doing what I was doing, which was look into the auction, and went to help them kill the Atrax. Once done with the Atrax, I went back to watch some videos on how the deeds in the game worked. But like always, the videos weren't exactly answering my very specific question and seemed to just be them rambling about stuff relating to the deeds and not exactly how deeds worked in the game. So eventually I asked a person who had helped me earlier, and he said the deeds, if profitable enough, do pay out daily and shares are weekly, once again, if they had enough profit. With this information, I changed my plans from purchasing as many Unreal tokens as I could to purchasing as many deeds, hoping that the daily payouts could snowball over time to allow me to buy more deeds and shares. Maybe after a few months I'll be able to get it high enough that I can afford to maybe invest into other avenues of the game. Even if it doesn't happen, at least it can fund my ability to be able to play the game, even if it's just a little. After depositing $100, I managed to purchase 10 Arcadia Underground deeds and 1 Arcadia Moon deed. Hungry for just a little bit more, I sold most of the stuff I had made from all the hunting I did yesterday and managed to buy 2 shares into the Calypso Trust. With all that said and done, I was satisfied with my purchases and ready to wait and see if they actually do pay out daily. So, time to play the game. Deciding it was high time I did more quests, I went to the research facility I was asked to head to. Once I got there, I spoke to Professor Hamill, who asked me to find a lost ship that was supposed to deliver some manure. So I made my way out, killing some of the Argonauts, and made it to the ship. Returning to Professor Hamill, he asked me to check out a mysterious box out by the road. Turns out it was some CDF sensor tracking anything hostile in the area. I report this to Hamill, and he has me go check the perimeter. Reporting back to Hamill, he wants me to deliver a message at some CDF outpost. I make my way there, to which I learn they're pretty undermanned. However, before I continue on this way, I did remember seeing another guy back at the science outpost, so I quickly make my way back. But it turns out it was a very simple quest to just check the pressure and make sure it never got too high while he fixed something. With that done, I went back to the CDF outpost and helped them take down some Daikaba that were harassing them. They then asked me for another favor. A plane crashed and they needed me to bring back the supplies. So I go, find the ship, grab the supplies, and kill the Argonauts defending the packages. I head back and give them some ammo, and I head back and they give me some ammo for my troubles, and immediately asking for some more help. They were getting some strange readings in a nearby cave, and they suspected that there are robots. Once again, because they're so understaffed, they needed me to go and check out the cave. So I do just that. I get to the cave, kill a few robots, find some bonus packages, run into a second section where I find this massive structure which seems to be some kind of power source, or it could be a manufacturing thing. I wasn't quite too certain. I still don't even know while I was doing it, but I sure as hell defeated all the guarding bots and destroyed the facility. Unfortunately, I saw there was another package in the back of the room, and I tried to get it, but I died before I could, and the room sealed itself off, so I couldn't even get it. So, I just decided to continue on with the mission, because it was more or less complete, and I went back to the CDF outpost. Bearing good news for them, with the destruction of the robot facility, they rewarded me with a piece of CDF armor. With that, I was told the road to the South Swamp camp was being harassed by Argonauts, and they wanted me to make it safer, along with that to speak to a scout at the camp. So I made my way down the road, eliminated the Argonauts, crossing a bridge, and made it to the camp. There I was asked to speak to one of the scientists who asked me to clean some cameras in the swamp. Running through the swamp, cleaning the cameras, I ran into a pretty strong berry clip. After that, though, the rest was pretty easy. I reported back to the scientist who then asked me to go collect some cherry-like fruit that the local wildlife like to eat. I went out there, found the necessary amount, and then went right back. Thankful, the scientist asked me to go to Port Atlantis and give some cell samples. Happily leaving the swamp, I was kind of excited to see what this place looked like. A bunch of shopping centers and huge buildings, which is very different from everything I've seen so far. I turned in the sample, then went straight sightseeing, talking to the teleporter technician and getting some extra teleporting locations from them. I found a room that had a construction machine and multiple NPCs standing around. I spoke to one called a technician, and they offered me blueprints for things I could craft. This was pretty exciting stuff for me, and I quickly bought up a few of these blueprints. Now, to buy some resources and try to craft them. I had a few near successes, but most were failures. But I was hooked and wanted to try to increase my skills in this field. The problem was, how do I get the resources? Watching a video on how to mine, I went to Camp Icarus and tried my hand at it. I was finding Listerium, which was one of the items I needed, but I wasn't getting any iron, which was the other item. So I looked up where to find iron, and on the Entropia wiki, it gave me a very specific longitude and latitude for iron. So I marked it on the map and attempted to make my way there, teleporting to Treasure Island's main hangar and then trekking out across the lands, scared for my life as I saw higher and higher level mobs. Eventually I had to stop and cross this river, then hop back in my vehicle and kept going. Eventually I made it to this player-owned land. From what I could tell was a PvP zone, so I got a little on edge, and tried to rush my way to the location. Finally, after all this traveling, I made it there, to the very point the wiki had showed me. I pulled out my finder and sent some probes, only to get Listerium. So, mentally exhausted, tensed up from fear of the PvP, in the middle of nowhere, and frustrated that I didn't actually find iron, I decided to call it a day and deal with this tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.